Have you ever wondered if God has the one picked out for you?
Or have you ever wondered if maybe God just blesses whoever you choose? If you've wondered one of these two things, stay tuned. Woo! Hi, I'm Josiah.
And I'm Bethany.
Welcome to One True Pair,
The not so common sense guide to godly relationships.
Today we're answering the question, does God have one person picked out for us already, the one, or does he bless whoever we choose? This is a question we hear all the time. We thought that we'd tackle it in one of our episodes.
Or at least try to.
Or at least try to. So this was a question that I actually had a while back. So I was talking to Bethany about it and I asked her what she thought.
And I said, your guess is as good as mine, buddy.
Bethany's answer was incredible. This is what she said.
Your guess is as good as mine, buddy. But at least I continued with, I think that sometimes God knows us so well that he knows who will fit us best. So maybe he'll bless us in whatever we do when we're seeking after him, but he knows us so well that he does have someone specific picked out for us because he knows who will fit us best and who will be our best teammate and who we can work with the best.
So I think that's a brilliant way of looking at it because it really marries the two ideas. Whoa now. That, you know, it's God's will and that we're pursuing after him, but it's also he gives us the freedom to choose. In Proverbs it says, that the righteous choose their friends carefully. And I think if we're already choosing our friends carefully, how much more thought are we going to want to put into who we choose as our lifelong, best friend, as our lifelong partner. So I think if God gives us the freedom to choose our friends, he also gives us the freedom to choose who we'll marry. But he knows us so well that he knows who we'll pick. It's also a responsibility that God gives us to make sure that we're choosing somebody that lines up. Just like in the Bible, it doesn't necessarily reference dating or even courting. It's just the social structure was a lot different at that time. But God tells us what kind of person, we should marry, what kind of person we should get to know in a romantic relationship. I don't know why I laughed right.
Romantic relationships. In Isaiah 55, I was like, who talks about it? It's in Isaiah. In Isaiah 55, Isaiah talks about how God's ways are higher than our ways and how his thoughts are higher than our thoughts. So I think this can also play into this. So he knows us so well and he knows other people so well. And so I think it's a lot of the times easy to get caught up in the fact of like, well, the right person won't like me. What if they don't know that I'm the one for them? But God's ways are so much higher and he knows what he's doing. He knows the desires that he's put on your heart and he knows the desires that he's put on everyone else's heart. And he knows that we're each made uniquely and he knows who will fit us best. So trusting him in that and just surrendering it to God is a huge important step because he'll lead you where you need to go. Obviously it's your choice on if you ask them out or not because if God's like, yes, that's the one and you never ask them out, it's kind of on you, buddy. But
good point.
Ask Josiah because he asked me out and I said yes.
Hey.
So if he wouldn't have, we wouldn't be here.
This is true.
You can cut that out.
That stays in. Okay.
But ultimately, we choose who we date and who we married. You know what? I'm American. But ultimately, we choose who we date and who we marry. But it's our choice as well as if we choose to let God influence our choices. And in that, God gives us a great peace. I know for me personally, I know that God is in something when he's confirmed it and he continues in that with me in a peace. So if you're doing something and you're like, I really think God's sending me into this, but there's no peace in it, it's probably not God. Ask him. Be like, hey, God, why isn't there any peace in this? And he answers you. God is faithful to answer your questions when you listen to him.
That's going to be a big indicator, though. If you do have peace about it, if you don't have peace about it, go with that feeling because that's Holy Spirit, too,
And this goes both ways. So for a guy, it may be like, I have a peace about asking them if they want to go on a date with me. But for a girl, it may be like, do I have a piece about saying yes? Or do I not have a piece in that? Because I think a lot of times there's an emphasis on guys in the church and being like, you know what? God said that you're the one for me. But if she's like, there's no way, that's not at all what God's speaking to my heart, listen to that.
So ultimately you want to check it with this relationship, if you have peace about it, if it's the right person at the wrong time or if it's the wrong person at the wrong time. You want to check it back in this relationship. Don't take that at face value. And again, don't be led by your emotions over being led by the Spirit. Trust what God's saying to you and trust that peace or that lack of it and go with that. The steps of a righteous man are ordered. And in other passages too, he says, all your ways acknowledge him, he will direct your path. Some people will, go into that, make a decision decision and then blame God for why it didn't work out, because they didn't, their steps weren't being guided by God. They didn't have peace about it. They kind of went with it anyway. And then later they're blaming God because they're like, God, well, you told me to marry this person. We need to take responsibility for our own actions. God gives us the freedom to choose, but we need to take responsibility for the decisions and the freedom that God gives us to choose our lifelong partner. Proverbs, it says that, a man makes his plans, but God guides his steps. You make your plans, you decide, you have, there's an amount of choosing in there, but God will guide you in the actual execution of it, in the steps needed to get there.
So to conclude, if you have a peace about something, go for it. If God calls you to do something that's even outside of your comfort zone, He'll provide for you in that area.
But at the same time, by the same token, stay in relationship with God and continue growing in that, because that's really where you're going to be able to check it. If something goes against your conscience, it's not God telling you to do that. If it's a moral issue, God's very clear on that too. So, but on the going left and going right, stay in relationship with God, and He will guide your steps. He will guide you to the right person. He will guide you in the right direction. So that's all we have for you today. Subscribe if you're getting some value out of this. We'd love for you to join the OTP fam. Woo! And tune in next week at the same time for our next episode. See you then. Woo!